Hello everybody. First, I will thank World Archery Asia to have organized this web seminar around para-archery. Thanks to all of you for attending this seminar. I'm really delighted and honored to have been asked by World Archery Asia to speak about para-archery as introduction of this seminar. Archery is one of the most inclusive sports where people with a disability can share the shooting line with able-bodied archers. On the picture, some of you will recognize Zara Nemati. Zara was competing in Paralympic Games, but although in Olympic Games in Rio 2016 and was flag bearer for the Islamic Republic of Iran. Everyone can do archery, of course with some adaptation of the equipment, the rule, the categories, and sometimes with assistive devices. For able-bodied archers, persons who compete are grouped by gender, kind of bow they use, and their age. For impaired archers, first we must define the kind of impairment, if the impairment affects or not the shooting, how much it affects it, if any assistive device can be used without giving advantage for performance in a fair spirit, and which impairments can be grouped. For example, you cannot have a blind archer competing against an armless archer. This is the role of the classification. For impaired archers, persons who compete are grouped by kind and level of impairment, gender, kind of bow they use. And in some countries, if there is a lot of people in some categories, it can be also grouped by age. For physical disabilities, the allocation of sport class is a process done by classifiers who determine the level of functional ability of each archer. For visual impairments, vision impairment occurs when there is damage to one or more of the components of the vision system. For archery, visual acuity is taken in consideration. The international classifiers are persons having a medical background, physiotherapist, doctor. For physical disability, they are formed and authorized by the World Archery Classification Committees. In World Archery Asia, you have 8 countries where are living some international classifiers. You can be in touch with them if you need some information about how to make classification in your continental association. At international level, the categories we have for people with a physical disability. It's for the more handicapped W1 men or W1 women. They are shooting with compound bow or recurve bow, when compound bow with a limited power, and they shoot at 50 meters on full target of 80 centimeters. Compound men open, coming from classification W2 or standing, are shooting as the compound archers in able-bodied competition, and we have the category for men and for women. The same for recurve, who are shooting in the same condition of recurve archers in able-bodied competition and coming from the qualification W2 or standing. All these categories are presented at the World Championship for categories W1, compound open, recurve open in individual, mixed team, and team of 3 archers. At the Paralympic game, we have the individual archers in each of the 3 categories, but only in mixed team, not as a team of 3 archers. We have 2 categories for people with a visual impairment. They are combined, men and women, in the same category because of the little number of participants and countries represented. The VI1 comes from the IPSA, International Blind Sport Association, classification B1. They can shoot with compound, with recurve, with a tactile sight, and are the mandatory to have a blindfold. The VI1, VI3, coming from the IPSA classification B2, B3, are shooting the same equipments, but without the blindfold. All VI categories are shooting in outdoor competition at 30 meters on full target of 80 centimeters. The both categories are only present at the World Championship. They are not at the Paralympic game, and they are only competing in World Archery tournaments as individual categories. Para-archery is a full integrated discipline of World Archery. World Archery is the international governing body for para-archery. It's up to World Archery to write the sport rules, the rules of classification, to organize the international championship, and to propose the qualification process for the Paralympic Games. Of course, it has to be a final decision of IPC based on the World Archery proposal. And of course, para-archery is fully integrated in the strategic plan of World Archery. World Archery, as the governing body at worldwide level, is a member of the IPC, International Paralympic Committee, and member of APSO, which is the Association of Paralympic Sport Organizations. Some rules, as for classification, has to comply with the IPC rules, of course mainly on categories which are present at the Paralympic Games. There are some differences with the other disciplines governed by World Archery. First, for archers, competing in para-archery events doesn't come only from a choice of discipline, but also from a mandatory to be classified. About the national governance of para-archery. Because of the history of the Paralympic movement and the organization of sport for people with a disability in each country, it can happen that at national level para-archery is governed by the National Archery Federation, which is the World Archery Member Association, or governed by another national governing body, which can be a national multisport or archery organization for disabled people, or directly the National Paralympic Committee. When para-archery is governed by another national governing body than the member association. This situation often comes from the local law. In most of cases, there are some contracts or agreement between the member association and the national governing body. In all cases, World Archery needs to work with the member association. The member association keeps the full responsibility of registration on international events. For World Archery, the official contact remains the member association. When we know the national governing body, we can copy them information to be sure that the para-archers has some information, for example, on updating of rules. Few weeks ago, World Archery Asia has sent all the member associations a survey to get information on para-archery. Now, I will present you the statistic we got from this survey. 24 countries has answered to the survey. Then we know that in 19 of them, para-archery is governed by the member association of World Archery, which is an archery federation, and in 5 countries, para-archery is governed by another national governing body. In 9 countries, para-archery is very active with people competing at international events. In 9 countries, para-archery is active, and in 6 countries, there is no activity for para-archery. As an estimation of number of para-archers per country, we have 7 countries with over than 50 people in para-archery, 1 country with 30 to 40, 6 countries with 10 to 21, 6 countries under 10 people in para-archery, and 4 countries with no one. Regarding on participation to international events, as you can see, Europe is leading in terms of participation. Asia is at the second place, following Europe, with 102 archers competing at the World Championship, 35% of archers competing, and with 13 countries involved at the last championship. It means 25% of the countries represented. At Paralympic Games in Rio, participation of Asia is almost the same than Europe, with 58 archers and 16 countries which was represented at the Games. Asia is better for results, with 5 gold medals, 5 silver medals, and 3 bronze medals. Here we have the statistics for the participation of Asian countries at the Continental Championship. There were 17 countries, 102 archers. As you can see, there are some categories, mainly for women, which are with a little number of people. These categories, W1 and women participation, is one of the goals for increase them in the strategic plan of Para-Archery Committee for World Archery. I let you little time to see all statistics. Sport in general is part of the social life of the disabled persons and can help them in their personal development. Para-archery can be approached without specific equipment. All archery clubs or structures can welcome disabled people. Para-archery can easily be included in strategic plan in the goals of archery is a sport for all. As media's point of view, showing para-archery is first showing archery. Para-sports are becoming more popular in a lot of countries and part of TV sport show. At Rio Paralympic Games, for all sport, the cumulated audience was 556 million people. And remind that watching para-archery is first watching archery. Each national federation has full interest to contribute to para-archery development. When the member association is a governing body, inclusion of para-categories on national events if there is a little number of them, separate events if there are a lot of para-archers in each category. When the member association doesn't govern para-archery in the country, we can get an agreement with the national governing body in order to propose to help for development, combine training camps between member association and governing body national teams, increase knowledge of judges on events, and for starting a cooperation spirit to help them to increase para-archery and to keep the leadership in the relation with World Archery Asia or World Archery. The best way to set up para-archery or to develop it in your country is to have, in addition to archery knowledge, a specific technical approach by the coaches, the guarantee of fairness in competition, that is by classifiers for definition of category and the allowance of assistive devices, and the knowledge of adapted rules by judges. That was the last point of my presentation. One more time, I would like to thank World Archery Asia to be involved in para-archery's development. Thank you for your attention. I wish you a good seminar, and I'm sure that you will be an important link in the chain of para-archery development. Have a good seminar. Bye-bye.